indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. By way of announcements, any residents wishing to speak who have not completed a form, we ask you to do that now and provide that to us here. In addition to that, we'd like to, you'll notice on the agenda that the purpose of the workshop meeting is to allow for all heads of departments to make their individual reports to the council, and to also give residents an opportunity to speak on agenda items, or, and as a matter of course, any other matter that concerns you if you are a resident in the borough of Yeadon. So hopefully, in order to expedite some of our agenda and schedule, to expedite the agenda and schedule and not have a prolonged meeting that may not be necessary, we'd like for you to hold your questions and observations to after each department head has made their report. We think that will, that change will allow us to get to the heart of the agenda and give you an opportunity to make sure that your voices are heard as well. So, Mr. Dodson. First on our, we'd like to first call, yes, okay. Okay. Roll call, Mr. Dodson, for council.
That's okay. President Council Harris.
President.
Vice President Johnson.
President.
Councilor Ms. Waters. Mayor Hatter.
Present.
Thank you. Councilor Brooks.
Councilor Brooks just came in, yes.
I didn't get to her name. I did not get to her name yet. Thank you.
She said Councilor Brooks just came in.
Please. Councilor Brooks. Councilor Monroe. Councilor Rothblow. And Councilor Brooke. B.
Present.
Thank you. Our engineer. Thank you. Our solicitor. Our lieutenant.
Here.
Thank you. That completes the roll call.
Okay, thank you. What we're going to do is kind of flip the script here with this agenda. I'd like for the heads of departments to come and make their presentation first. And I will call on the engineer. Would you come, please?
Good evening. I'm Megan Sparrow from Pinoni Associates, representing the engineer. The first thing I want to bring up that is something you guys have had discussion in the past about is the Borough Hall building evaluation. I believe we have some questions, and Jeff was here to just make some clarification on the scope or answer any specific questions. Okay. The next thing I wanted to bring to your attention was that last week we did submit a DCED grant for the Blunston Rome Street restoration. Another grant opportunity that is coming up is at the end of July for a multimodal transportation grant. Some possible projects or good projects are streetscape enhancements. And I know there was some mention of submitting an application near the business district for the 700th block of Church. We will prepare a resolution, and if you would like, that would be adopted at the next meeting. Okay. I'll make sure to keep an eye on it. Another item that we've been working with Rufus and the code department on was some ordinance language dealing with lateral testing of properties prior to resale. We're working with really comparing some local language, making sure that everybody's happy with it, and we'll present a sample for review at a later date, but we are working on that as well.
So, your report is as presented.
Has all that information. Last week, we sent a memo regarding improvements adjacent to 16 West Providence Road. There were some concerns about erosion coming out of one of the pipes and downstream into Darby Creek. We met with Ernell and had a proposal to extend the pipe with an L section, and meeting with Jeff, we feel we have an adequate option to make these improvements. So with your approval at the next meeting, we would move forward with that. I've also discussed it with the township solicitor to just give him a heads up that we would need an easement from the property owner. But the owner is very well aware of the issue and would like it resolved.
Can you, for the benefit of the public, tell our members?
Yes. Arnell is our contractor that has an annual contract with the borough to take care of any improvements related to stormwater projects. I apologize. The last update,
I'm sorry.
is about McDavid Church intersection. We are working on an application to install a speed hump just west of the intersection of McDade and Church. That does need PennDOT approval because it is a state road. However, we've discussed it with them and we don't feel it'll be an issue, but we do need to go through the proper channels. And the second thing was during about 2 months ago when we had our initial discussion about that intersection and about improvements, they mentioned an Arley grant that is administered through PennDOT. That is currently open until June 30th. So submitting improvements for that project specifically, those will be due on June 30th, and we're working on that application as well. That's it.
Thank you. I'd like Jeff, Public Works, please.
Good evening, everyone. Jeff Wilkinson, Public Works Department. So we have one emergency call out that was on Sunday, May 29th. There was an accident on the 700 block of Church Lane. Utility pole was struck by a vehicle. We got called out to clear the debris of the roadway, set up barricades for PICO and other utility companies to arrive to set the new place and rehang the down wires. Announcements for June: we have an e-waste event on June 24th between the hours 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. We also have a yard waste drop-off on June 11th between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m.
Excuse me, could you repeat the e-waste?
June 24th,
Okay,
8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
okay, thank you.
Yard waste is June 11th, which is a Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Events for July: the e-waste event is July 29th, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Yard waste is July 8th, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Twice a week trash pickup begins July 1st and will run until August 31st. The summer schedule is as follows. If your trash is picked up on a Monday, your second day will be on Thursday. If your trash is picked up on a Tuesday, your trash will then be collected on Friday, vice versa. Thursday is Monday and Friday is Tuesday. Due to July 4th, 4th of July, there will be no trash pickup on Monday, July 4th. The holiday schedule is as follows. We're closed on Monday, so on Tuesday, Monday, and Thursday's trash pickup will happen. On Wednesday, Tuesday, and Friday's trash pickup will happen. Residents, please order recycling until the following week. Thursday's pickup schedule will remain the same as with Fridays.
How does it affect recycling?
You just hold it until the following week.
So,
You'll hold recycling until the following week. So we had a retirement on Friday, April 29th. After 22 years of service, Keith Bowler retired. On behalf of the Public Works Department, I would like to thank Keith for his dedication and years of service. Enjoy the retirement. We currently have 2 vacant full-time positions available within the Public Works Department. We will be asking for consideration to hire the candidates of the borough manager's choosing at this upcoming legislative meeting. We had a few abatement properties that we maintained over this month. We did 433 Hollywood Road, 718 Yeadon Avenue, 617 Cypress, 804 Raider Avenue, 901 and 917 Longacre Boulevard, as well as Washington Woods Apartment Complex. We have 2 abatements pending. That's 533 Fern Street and 667 Rose.
What does abatements mean to the public?
So what abatements are is when the code department goes out, writes violations and citations. If the residents don't remedy the situation within the allotted amount of time, it gets turned over to us. From there, we'll come in and, for instance, right now it's mainly cutting the grass, moving debris. Over at Washington Woods, they failed to get the trash removed, so we picked up, I don't know, maybe 10 or so mattresses that we have to dispose of. Yeah, so there's a fee allocated to it. Goes to the homeowner. If the homeowner doesn't pay, then their property gets lien. And then that's how we collect our money. Over at Community Park, we cleaned out the love garden in preparation for last Saturday's planting event. During that time, we tilled the entire area, cleaned out all the weeds and other vegetation. We also installed 2 raised planters, and we also have 2 more to be created and set out at a later date. Upcoming projects, we still have to remulch the playground area. That's with a certified playground mulch. It's roughly 100 cubic yards. And beginning of phase 1 of the DCNR grant, we still have a little bit more to do with getting a tighter scope of work together to better budget it out. Borough facilities at the hall, the HVAC maintenance contract has expired. We'll be asking for approval at the upcoming legislative meeting. Quotes have been obtained. We're going through that process now of looking through things. Kind of to touch base on the Borough Hall assessment, this will be performed by our engineer. The goal of this assessment is to look at the Borough Hall building, the mechanical systems, the interior structure, and the exterior structure. This will allow us to get a solid plan in place for necessary repairs and replacements, which will in turn allow us to better formulate our capital improvement budget moving forward. And will also help with focusing on facility-related grants to cover the majority of these costs of the projects. We also set up and broke down all second floor rentals. Year to date, for street dirt collection by the sweeper, we're at 84.15 tons. Shade tree update. Shade tree removal began on 5/31/22. Once the trees are removed, the Public Works Department will come in and remove any curbing and sidewalk prior to the company returning to grind the stumps out. This will call for a better finished product. Once stumps are grinded out, residents will then be able to repair any curbing and sidewalk that was damaged. The planting plan. So the goal is to become smarter when planting these trees. The goal is to put up the right trees in the right locations and give them enough space to grow. Please see the list below. So I have this whole entire list of trees. Council, you can probably see it's attached to the board for time's sake. Kind of, skip over it. This way you guys have all the information available. Sanitary sewers. So work has begun on Lincoln Avenue. There was a covered manhole that was dug up. It was discovered that the manhole was broken and causing the issues with the line. The pipe has been replaced and backfilled. We removed the manhole as it was deemed unnecessary. Further video footage of the line showed 4 additional breaks in the main, where the laterals were connected to the main, which ultimately caused multiple sinkholes on the street. Contractor is currently working to repair those 4 sections of pipe. Over on Union Avenue, trench restoration was completed on South Union Avenue in front of the Nile Swim Club, and also on Bailey Road between Commerce and Industrial.
Jeff, I want you to go back and read that in reference to keeping the shade tree location, because that's a question that came up at the legislative meeting.
Okay, so to go back to shade trees, keeping the shade tree location in between the curb and the sidewalk, it's important to kind of limit what trees that we plant. It's all about selective planting. We should limit the number of shade trees per block upon size, more space between trees to avoid overcrowding. This will ultimately call for healthier trees. If you take a trip down Longacre Boulevard, you'll see all of the pin oaks are just on top of each other. And if you count, almost every other one is on its way out. So if you could imagine taking out every other tree, it would give more room for the trees to grow and develop a healthy root establishment.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, Jeff. Good evening. With respect to the shade trees, you said that the company has come in and they started removing the defective shade trees.
Yes, correct, based on that list. That was
Right, and that
So the companies, they're in now, they're removing the trees.
Right.
Once they remove it, we'll come in, the public works will come in, and we'll take out the damaged sidewalk and the curb. This way the company can come back and grind the stumps.
Right.
After that's done, then the homeowners will have the ability to contact whatever contractor they'd like to do the curbing and the sidewalk
But
replacement.
here's my problem with that. So what if the homeowner wants to replace, have that shade tree replaced? Because we are a tree line community, we're supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, trees have a lot of benefits. Okay, I don't need to go through all of the benefits, but health benefits is
Yeah.
one of the benefits. So we need to have something in place when the contractor comes out, removes the tree, then they come back and take out the stump. And we should have something in place along that same timeline to find out whether or not the homeowner would like to have that shade tree replaced with something comparable to. Because to have the homeowner go out, spend money to fix the entire area, that's a waste of money to have to break it up to put in a new tree.
Yeah, so in a perfect world, you don't want to replant a tree where you just took one out, because even after you grind the stumps, all the tap roots are still alive under there, and they just keep sucking the nutrients out of the new plant of the new tree that you plant. So you want to actually, replace that sidewalk and then plant it somewhere else. We actually came under budget, I believe, by around like $3,500 to $4,000. And one thing that we could do, we could touch base with Jamie Anderson from the Stormwater Collaborative. And from my understanding, in years past, she was able to donate trees to the borough. I'm not sure if they were either free or at a decent price cut, but that's something we can do. And, right now, personally, I don't like planting trees in the summer. We're kind of getting into that window where it's too hot to plant the trees, the survival rate's going to drop. So if we can kind of push that off until, maybe early fall, that's probably the best bet.
But we should have something, at least something in place so that the property owner has a full understanding as to if they wish to have it replaced, they can. However, it's best to have it replaced in another area as opposed to where the original shade tree was just removed.
Yeah, and I mean, I can go out.
Because I kind of feel like it's scattered, we're like all over the place, and bottom line is, you want to try to maintain the aesthetics of the community, and right now, we kind of look like a concrete jungle, and I don't think that's the look we're going for, because all of our trees are just being, because they're dead, or they're causing problems with the sidewalk, but
And that's one of those things, we have to kind of wrap our heads around as well. Do we want to keep on this path? Do we want to keep, shelling out the $20-something thousand in this shade tree program? Or do we want to, say, hey, let's get the homeowners, if they want a shade tree, we'll pay for it, but let's put it up in a proper place on your property.
well, I do understand what you're saying with that. However, the reason why we're spending so much money at this point in time is because it has been neglected for so many years.
Yeah.
If we stay on top of it, it's called preventative maintenance, we would not have to shell out so much money like we shelled out within the last couple of years.
Yeah,
And let's keep in mind,
Yeah, I
we're
absolutely
still
agree.
paying, I believe it's a nominal fee of $5 a year per household.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we're not just going to keep taking the money and not have anything to show for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just ask a question? When is the trash for summer pickup?
When does it start?
Yes.
July 1st and goes until August
And
3rd.
what days for trash?
It's your regular day.
Yeah, so it's
My
like,
regular day is Tuesday.
so then your second day will be Friday.
So it'll still be Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday and Friday will be your 2
Tuesday and
days.
Friday.
Yep, correct.
And I have a question about abatements as well.
Okay.
So with respect to the abatements, I understand you abate a property and then you send them an invoice, so forth and so on. Is the solicitor involved with that process? Because you know as well as I know, we have some violators that are habitual.
So,
And we need to kind of get a handle of that.
I just kind of get the workload and
And
the
we're
work.
here.
So I kind of just get, I get the abatements and then I do the work and then I pass the bill over to Rufus. How it gets filed from there, I could not tell you that.
So Mr. Lyons, good evening. Is there something you can add to that? Because we're having a hard time with habitual offenders.
So I sent an email with a memo to council about fire and cars. And I think this is a great, forum to discuss this. So as far as the abatements go, that is actually can be done by the solicitor or the borough manager. So I have spoken, or at least, put out to council that myself and or Isaac can be the one that enforces these things. The penalty is between $1,000 and $10,000. We have large discretion, so if there's something that just needs to be fixed up one time, we don't even have to fine anybody. We can just say, we can write a letter, we can give a warning. But if we start to have these habitual offenders, we have a hammer between $1,000 up to $10,000. And even if you have an habitual offender, I'm always one that, the government should still be compassionate when it can. If it's something that we can get them going and we don't want to, bankrupt them or something, that's, we have a wide latitude. But we have to, have a discussion about what level of enforcement, what level of involvement we want to have here. Because if you want to send myself or Isaac's office out,
He's the interim man for
So-
the manager, so we will probably.
to look at these things, to start assessing these things, well, we can absolutely do that. The code, the borough code for Yeadon, gives that power to the solicitor's office and the borough manager's office.
Yeah, well, just like Jeff mentioned, unfortunately, there's a few businesses that are habitual offenders. And like you said, he had to pick up 10 soiled mattresses. And they weren't covered. And not only were there mattresses there, but it was also furniture as well. But it's this same business that keeps allowing these types of conditions.
So we should definitely talk about that. So we can definitely, and because they're a business, and it's not so much a individual,
Right.
you could send a message, with a higher fine. Now, I have no idea what business you're talking about. But you could certainly send a message with a citation, and if that's what council's wishes are, I can do that. Or I can work with the borough manager to do that.
It's all about quality of life. I think everyone wants a decent quality of life, I think. I would like
Thank you, Councilor Dede. Let me just get one more suggestion. One of the processes that we'd like to employ in these workshop meetings is to hear from all the department heads first, and then ask if there's a pertinent question, obviously, that the department head can answer for you in somewhat of a short order. We want to reserve the time for the residents to be able to communicate with those department heads as well as councilors. But if we can get the reports done first, I think it will expedite the process of our agenda, and we can still get the business done without, an extended, super extended period of time here this afternoon. So thank you, Jeff. Are there, Councilor?
Yeah, mine's is both free. You can't put a mattress out there for regular trash, that's just more than the beds. I haven't had all that.
So just make sure you cover it.
It has to be covered. in
Yeah, make sure it's covered in plastic, or
Okay.
else the trash guys won't take it.
Okay.
I have a question. So I had several residents talk to me about getting more signs pertaining to cleaning your dog poop.
Okay.
We don't have enough signs. People are just letting their dogs just poop all over everyone's lawn. So, and it's not being enforced as far as the fine goes. How much?
I couldn't tell you that. So my department, we just put up the signs. I really don't enforce much, so.
That would have been a useful thing to put in your spring newsletter. You could have done the spring ordinances, grass clippings, cleaning up your dog.
Shoot me an email to like block specific. I got a few in stock now. So I'll take a look at how many I have, shoot me a few blocks. I'll try to, canvass as many as possible.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so very much. Fire department report, please.
I don't think he's here.
Fire department.
He's not here.
Emergency management.
He's
Not here, that's
He's
it.
not here.
Come on, please, yes. You have both. You have both reports. Emergency management.
I'm Code Officer Joe Warren, I'm going after Director Stokes. And review the Code Enforcement Department report, as well as the emergency management. For the month of May, zoning only use application was 1 for 668 Yeadon Avenue, Princeton Front Yard approved. Zoning hearing application for 0. Hotspots and may continue to be the Washington Wood Apartment Complex. Trash issue, entrance issue. Property on South Long Boulevard has been issued by violation notices and citations. The following action items: following apartments, buildings, and inspected parking court. 189 units, we've got another 164 to do. Washington Wood and 30. As mentioned earlier, city tree removal started on executive tree services out Sharon Hill. Inspectors continue to control and right violations found. Holy Cross Cemetery ground crews have been removing down trees from some homes on the Yeadon and Rundle Avenues. We've been notified by code. The zoning board met on May 23rd. Started to work on ordinances that need to be revised. We'll be having additional meetings in upcoming weeks. Abandoned cars throughout the borough are still being removed by inspectors with the assistance of the Yeadon Police Department. There's a white van on Longyear Boulevard has been removed. Maccabee Court building construction at 554 South Lansdowne Avenue is in its final stages. That's expected to be completed this August. County Health Center, 125 Chester Avenue, Phase 3 construction is in progress. Several citations have been issued for waste management, Washington Wood Apartment Complex, as mentioned earlier, several property owners for grass and trash violations. Code assisted public works in several of these down tree situations last month. Fire-related issues: 50 East Providence Road was submitted. Permit paperwork to do renovations on the property. Permits have been issued for 317 Bailey Road for renovations after fire in the beginning of 2022. Closed items: all handicap parking renewals have been paid for. No new applications have been submitted. The tree that was blocking the creek flow behind 722 Yeadon Avenue has been removed to clear a pathway for clear flow of property by the Holy Cross Cemetery ground crew. Upcoming items: the zoning board will be meeting again to go over the rewriting of more ordinances to present council consideration and approval. Important issues: still need to appoint Borough Planning Commission zoning officer. 2022 property maintenance abatements year to date, $13,564.66. Month of May we collected $230. Code Department revenue through May, or for the month of May, I should say, total $22,234. There's nothing else other than emergency management report. The Yeadon Borough Emergency Management works with all the borough departments and other agencies to keep advised of all emergencies that may impact Yeadon Borough. There will be upcoming training from the county for all county emergency management coordinators. The county has emailed Lucas Stokes with tentative upcoming training in the next few months.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, sir. With respect to NIMS, what are the benefits for, will we have as a borough if all counselors complete the courses, the NIMS courses?
I'm not familiar with that. I have to
Oh, you're
have
not?
Lucas. No. I have to have Lucas answer that question.
Oh, Lucas, okay.
Yes. I said,
Did you say that?
Public safety of Lieutenant Barnes.
It's called Barnes.
For the month of May, police department responded to or prepared reports for 786 calls for service. There were 597 parking tickets issued for the month. So far, 97 citations were mailed out for parking, unpaid parking tickets. Year to date, the department's collected $9,978 in parking fines. These are the fines before you go to citations. There were 2 non-traffic citations issued, 10 traffic citations issued, and 3 criminal arrests ranging from aggravated assault, possession of a firearm, and possession of intent to deliver narcotics. On May 26th, Yeadon Police Department, along with Delaware County's Drug Task Force, served a search warrant at 2 locations in town. A subject was arrested. Found in one of the locations was 366 grams of methamphetamine, 77 grams of crack cocaine, 170 bundles of heroin. Each bundle has 14 bags in it. Marijuana, 2 semi-automatic handguns, $6,200 in currency, and along with drug paraphernalia. The subject was remanded to prison on 10% of $1 million debt. The only thing I would like to request from council for the next legislative meeting is that they put on the agenda hiring 2 part-time officers. The first being Brian Reeser. Reeser is currently a police officer with Chester Housing. He's been employed there since 2018. Prior to that, he was officer at Joint Base in Wire, Dix, Lakehurst. Jerome Kennard, he's a former Chester Township police officer where he worked for 4 years. He's completed all his background. He just needs to get his psychological, medical, and drug screening, which I should have done by the 16th. I'm also requesting a motion to switch the status of Secretary Pat Shirley from part-time to full-time. She's been part-time with the department for 14 years now, and she's one of our steady secretaries. And then that's all I have.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
I have a question. Lieutenant Burns. My question is with respect to when tickets are issued, okay? So I've received a few complaints that tickets are issued, but the actual owners of the vehicles, they either did not receive the ticket for whatever reason. So what is the process? Is there a follow-up that goes out as well after the original issuance of a ticket, a parking ticket? Or is that ticket just automatically sent to the courthouse? And then another question is whether or not we're going to upgrade the department with some technology so that these things can be paid online.
So as far as upgrading the department with technology, I haven't even looked into that. I know Chief Rutherford from Lansdowne, he's just done some upgrades. And he's also, I spoke with the resident as well about the follow-up warning notices. In my time in Yeadon, I don't remember them ever going out. I could be wrong. But I'm also going to speak with him about what he does. Lansdowne issues a lot of parking tickets because they have no overnight parking. So I'm going to talk to, when I spoke with that resident, I told her, well, I was going to speak with Chief Rutherford to figure out how he handles this.
Yes, my concern is just basically the lack of efficiency, because, I mean, for whatever reason, someone doesn't get the ticket, and the ticket automatically goes to the courthouse. Now, a $15 ticket, just for an example, turns into a $100 ticket, you know, but had we sent, because I know Philadelphia does it, they send out a letter, you know, if we was to do something like that, then we're more apt to collect more
Sure,
instead
I
of.
collect them before they go to court, absolutely.
So I'm just, you know, just putting it out there.
No, absolutely. Yeah, understood.
So I guess when you hear from the other.
Yeah, when I speak with Chief Rutherford, I'll get some
Okay.
ideas and stuff. And I know he put a lot of money into their parking ticket system.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're that yet, but
Yeah, we have to start looking at things being more efficient. Yeah. Thank you.
no problem.
is, are we making any progress on parking meters in the technology like the last time that's involved? That came up many years ago.
I haven't looked at parking, but I don't put that on my radar. That's something that needs to be okay, we'll look through it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Our tax collector is not present tonight, but our borough manager is going to give her report.
Good evening, resident councilors and mayor. I'll give a brief overview of the tax collector's report. Her grand total is $94,266.57, and that's collections by check. In terms of taxes, the borough real estate tax, the base amount is $49,008.39. The discount is $15.02. There were no penalties for a total of $48,903.37. The borough trash, $19,380. There were no discounts. The balance would be $19,380. And the borough sewer was $25,893.20. There were no discounts nor penalty for a balance of $25,893.20. Again, the grand total is $94,266.57. That is the tax collector's report. Thank you.
I received a letter Saturday that my trash and sewer were not paid for 2021. And I wish the tax collector would come out here and talk with people who are receiving these letters.
To the mayor's forum.
Erroneous. The money has been paid, and I don't know why it's saying that it has been. I called the mortgage company, it was paid. So I don't understand what's going on, and I just wanted to make that statement.
Duly noted.
The mayor's forum, and that was just her. I actually have a question, so maybe you know.
That has nothing to do with the mayor's
respect to pilot, the pilot payments from Grace Sports. It's been pilot payments from Grace Sports. Pilot payments from Grace Sports, so that's payment in lieu of taxes. So I've been informed that we have not been receiving such payments. So my question is, why are we not receiving such payments? And if there's an issue, then maybe we should get our solicitor involved, Mr.
I
Bob.
spoke with Mr. Nichols. He emailed me back that they started that discussion, but I'm going to become a part of it.
Okay.
They have not come to an agreement. They're open to that program, but we have to all get myself involved. There's something with another project we're working on.
Oh, I was under the impression we had an agreement. So we did
Yeah,
not?
it's Mr. Nichols' email back to me was about, there was only a couple sentences, saying that there wasn't anything in place to get rid of it. Let me confirm.
Okay.
That's
Oh.
my memory from last week.
Well, then that would be very disappointing because we're talking about years. Years.
We'll figure it out.
No, thank
Mr.
you.
Boggs, you're next.
Can I come here? I'm loud.
Yes, sure.
Um,
Well, I do know what I'm going to look at first.
Sure. In addition to some of the projects that we've been working on, emailing with council, we were asked to help with the search for the new police chief. I sent over 3 search teams to be a part of our team. Now, really the discussion that we need to have, I think that one of those was a clear favorite for me. The person, Gary Peterson, that was a former police chief, his firm, though nationwide and no connection to Pennsylvania, I couldn't find any firm that really had a connection to Pennsylvania. All they do is search for police chiefs. The other two firms that I put together are national. There's one national firm that does professional recruiting, but does not specifically focus on police chiefs, so that is something that they do. The third was the International Police Chiefs Association. This is not their main job, but they do support police chiefs all over the world, and they also support municipalities with a service in helping to find a new chief. But that, again, is not the only service that they provide. The other way that this happens is you could contract with an individual, say a former police chief or an academic. That would probably be far less expensive than one of these firms. I think the first question, I think we can get this on the agenda for the legislative meeting to start this process. I've heard that all counselors will be involved, so all 7 members of council will be on the committee, as well as I thought I heard 5 members of the community. So that's 12 people. That sounds reasonable to me. So I think the only thing that we would need to do from here is to either pick one of the 3, or to say we kind of want more of a local knowledge base. So maybe we would, Chief Smythe had helped out in the past, so maybe there's something like that out there, or maybe it's one of these search teams. That's completely up to you. And I'll take any questions about anything that we've been working on.
Good evening, Mr. Boggs. When is this process going to begin?
So I believe that we would need to put it on an agenda for a legislative meeting to get this started. So this is why we're talking about it now. And if we come to a decision tonight, or if we can come to a decision on conference call or email before the next legislative meeting, I think it would start then. Yes.
Mr. Boggs, so I'm reading here that Yeadon Borough has been hit with a slew, quote unquote, of frivolous lawsuits per you. I didn't know we had a slew of frivolous lawsuits. Yeah, SLEW. We have a slew of frivolous. I'm only aware of maybe 2.
I mean, so there's, I would say that since we started, the borough manager and I have discussed probably, at least, and at least 3 specifically, and there have been probably close to a dozen that have come through. I don't, as we've discussed before about how governments get sued all the time. I mean, I see a lot of these just in the regular course of citizens are angry about actions of government or angry about consequences of lack of actions of government, and so they try to make the government act the way they want.
I'm just a little concerned that I don't want the people to believe that each and every time that the government is sued, that the government is quote unquote safe from these lawsuits, because that is not the case. And I just don't want the people to be misinformed when it comes to lawsuits, okay? Because governments have been found guilty of...
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're not going to play the game and have these good folks believe that when lawsuits are against the government, that we're safe, because that's not true.
I would say that it is rare when governments lose in the way that we're talking about. But absolutely it happens. I prefaced my statements when I gave this report as it is never a good thing to be sued. That is never a good thing.
I mean,
But
we have to look at the
some governments being sued are very, very different. If one of us was filed with a lawsuit, that's a devastating moment for any human. But governments, the larger the government, the more this happens.
Right, so, but we have to take into consideration, it's just not about the lawsuits. We have to pay you to litigate those lawsuits,
The
right?
insurance carrier pays, we pay insurance, and
We
the
pay the
insurance,
insurance.
and the
The
insurance
people
pays
pay the
Holston and
insurance.
Associates, and they litigate, yes.
Now, if the insurance carrier decides enough of this nonsense and shenanigans and they want to drop the government, is that possible? The insurance companies, they're not obligated to insure.
No, but governments are great clients because it's a sure revenue stream. Governments very rarely are going to.
Because they can raise their rates, and they know we need the insurance and we'll have to pay it. Right.
And look, how they, if they're predatory in some other way, that's possible, that depends. We always have to look at whether our insurance carriers be good to us. But I don't think that a number of lawsuits would, I think it would take some, I don't think it would be it's just, these carriers are in this type of, they're municipal government business. Holston and Associates were the same people that represented the district attorney's office, that's how I know them. I can't tell you the amount of times I was sued as a prosecutor, I was never deposed. I might have gotten on the phone with Holston and Associates, but it never went beyond that. And that's just been my personal experience with my government. But I'm not, your position
I just
is
don't want
absolutely
to
valid.
glorify being sued, if the government is being sued, it's okay. Because we have insurance. It's not okay. And it doesn't give you the green light to do unethical and illegal things. That's my point.
Mr. Boggs, I have a
Thank you very
question.
much.
Just before the audience speak, thank you, Ms. Kendall. Mr. Boggs explained in our last meeting that he did somewhat of a dissertation on the fact that governments have sovereign immunity. That's from the White House down to our house. And it's not to say that we're inviting lawsuits. That's
You
not
are inviting lawsuits.
And so the situation is that when people sue us, we pay over $100,000 a year for coverage of this municipality. And the insurance company that has been, I know for the past 18 years, I've been aware, has not changed. The insurance company, the same insurance company, we don't anticipate them dropping us because of any lawsuits, be it legitimate or frivolous. We don't anticipate that. So I appreciate Mr. Boggs for explaining that at our last meeting. And I want to give the residents an opportunity to talk. So, and just I think 2 more reports that I'd like to.
I have a question by Mr. Boggs. You said you had
Hold the question.
You said we could have a quick question?
No,
After?
we'll hold the questions.
That's not how you started.
We'll hold the questions.
The speaker
Because
said that
everyone,
each one could say a little something.
well, that's going to be after all the heads of the departments. You next.
Again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to present the Borough Manager's Report for June 6, 2022. On 5/19/22, a meeting was held with Friendship Circle Senior Center Director, Mrs. Christine Kamatala. The discussion involved services offered by the Senior Community Service and how Yeadon residents could utilize them effectively. A suggestion was made to have the liaison appointed between the SCS, which is the Senior Services Community Service, and the Borough of Yeadon. To that extent, Vice President Lynn Johnson was appointed by President Sharon Council Harris to be our liaison between the 2 bodies. On May 25th, the Borough Manager attended the Memorial Day celebration at Friendship Circle Senior Center. A dedication and remembrance were held for our fellow veterans. And again, a solid collaboration was offered between the residents of Yeadon and the Friendship Circle Senior Center. I myself had 2 meetings with the Recreation Committee to go over logistical information for the upcoming Flag Day celebration. We also conducted a final walkthrough on Church Lane in preparation for Flag Day. Those in attendance included representatives from all of our departments and our Vice President, Lynn Johnson. An on-site visit was conducted at 6/7 Hertford Place with the owner, Jeffrey Nicholson, to tour the damage caused by the storm repair. There is a large pond there. There are 4 small trees in that particular area. That property is about 6 acres. It's a beautiful property. We did not discuss any legal actions or legal ramifications. On 5/26, the borough manager attended a Zoom conference with the borough engineer and the public works director. Topics of discussion included the storm road remediation at 6-7 Hartman Place, remediation and current work improvements being made at Church Lane and McGay Boulevard, and a $260,000 grant application for repairs at Brunston Run, which he elaborated on earlier. Also, we had a discussion about the possible start date for the improvements to Community Park. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic and other issues, ordering the top lot equipment is on hold because it's just taken so long to order that equipment. But as soon as we're able to, we will. And as our director stated earlier, we are making plans to relook at, what's the word I'm looking for? Not perspective, but start with a P. No, P. So we're relooking at the overall scope of the project to make sure we can include as much of that as possible and get the job done. And this ends my report.
I want to mention that Mr. Nichols is not present here tonight, but he had a presentation that he wanted to inform all of the residents and council with regards to year-to-date expenditures in our annual budget. He wants to do a presentation, slide presentation for every department, where their spending levels are, and to try and prepare us before the end of the year to make sure that we're right in sync with the budget and that there won't be any type of shortfall. So I'm looking forward to him presenting that, if not at one of these meetings, at a special call meeting, to have that finance committee, where we are, what the status of our grants are. I know that there's approximately $4 million that the engineer and some of the pandemic funding has come down and that we have approved to receive here in the borough of Yeadon, and what those particular funds are going to be earmarked to do. So he's not here, but I did have a conversation with him, and we'll look forward to that presentation within the next few weeks. Also, as you are aware, our last meeting, workshops will be suspended for July and August, but that doesn't stop us from calling a special meeting where that may be necessary. And I think the budget is pretty important, so that the residents and council, all of council, will know what our particular status is right now. What I'd like to do is bring up Vice President Johnson to talk about the most important event in our calendar next to our council meetings, and that is our annual Flag Day celebration, and what we're doing in collaboration with the Now Swim Club for Juneteenth celebrations, and our local library it also has a special programming for Juneteenth. Councilor Johnson.
If you don't mind, Mr. Hunter, could you come up and give your report at the start, and I'll go. Thank you.
Before Councilman Johnson comes up to give a report, I just want to let you know there's some real exciting things happening in recreation. As you know, for the past 12 years, I think it is, we've been working with Camp Garrett out at Marple Newtown. So again this year, we'll be working with the camp. It starts June the 18th, the week of, and running through August 14th. But Camp Garrett is looking for, and I think maybe some of you have seen this, I don't know whether it's online or not, Camp Garrett is looking for youth counselors. So if you know someone 16 years of age or older who's looking for a job, Camp Garrett is the place. So we're going to
try to keep pushing that. They're also looking for lifeguards, if they're available, healthcare providers, camp nurse, aquatics coordinator, and kitchen assistant. But they're in Marple Newtown, great camp. We have about 15 young people from Yeadon who are going to the camp this year. So we hope to keep that going. I'm not going to talk about the fun we had in the garden on Saturday, because it was really a great day. I'm going to let Hakima Jabbar, she's going to talk about what we did out in the garden, which was called the Love Garden, but it's a garden community park. We had a great day out there last Saturday. Hope to keep this going. We have some tremendous help. And I want to thank Jeff at Public Works for supporting this program, and he has some other things that he's going to do. We have the Penn State Master Gardener Program coming in. They're helping the residents, and we do have some residents working in the garden. We are helping the residents with learning all the technical things they need to know about gardening. When I came in, we were talking about the Shade Tree Committee. Yeadon Borough is one of 8 boroughs and municipalities in the Stormwater Coalition. And what we do together, these 8 boroughs and townships and municipalities, is that we try to come together and identify critical issues that deal with stormwater management. Also, Shade Tree. We have access through the Stormwater Coalition to lots of trees that residents can actually plant on their property, as well as trees that will go along the tree line in some areas. So I would like to get council to bring Jamie Anderson to the council to talk about that, because I think we can really do a lot of things with Shade Tree. As we speak tonight, we have a rain barrel workshop going on. We had one last week. We had about 10 residents from Yeadon who sat in on the webinar, and we also gave away rain barrels. I don't know if you've seen the big red rain barrels that we gave away. So there's one tonight in Morton, and the rain barrels can be picked up in Morton. There's a composting workshop on the 15th of June, next week, at the Lansdowne Library. So some of you who are doing backyard gardening and composting, you can go to the workshop, it's free, and you can pick up a composting barrel. Other things that are coming through, we have our basketball program, which will be taking place in Community Park under YAA, and also soccer will be taking place. So we have a lot of things going on right now, including I know you're waiting for the Flag Day. So besides that, there's a lot of other things going on. So it's going to be, I think, a fun summer for the kids. We're looking at some other activities, hopefully bringing back some old tried and true types of things that we've been doing in the past. Carnival, I heard about bingo, we heard about some other things that we could possibly do. So I think we're trying, and hopefully we can get more people joining the Recreation Committee, because we really want to get citizen input into the things that we need to be doing. As we get through past Flag Day and we get through the rest of the year, I think it's going to be pretty exciting.
Hello, everybody. First of all, we need volunteers. We need for people to come out and be a part of what we're trying to do for Flag Day. I think we're going to have a really, really nice one. And so please, give some assistance. Come on out and help the community. Flag Day, June 18th, Saturday, 1 to 7:30. These are the flyers that are being given out into the community. They've been put out in the stores and a lot of the businesses. This year we're not going to have tents. We had problems with those previously. We're gonna bring out tables and have umbrellas. We're gonna dress the Church Lane area and make it look real festive. We're going to give out free hot dogs and pretzels to the first 200 children that come out, and water, small waters. And we're asking everyone to please bring lawn cheer. I'm asking all council members to please come out. We have personnel, radio personalities coming out and have your pictures taken with them if you would like. And I'm trying to think, we have the car show, that'll be, if I'm not mistaken, is it from 12 to 4? 12 to 4. And then all the entertainment will start at 1 o'clock. And then we will have our fireworks at dusk. We'll have the stage set up, it'll be a 4-foot stage. We'll have a DJ going all day long. And we have 3 different musical groups that will be coming, and hopefully it'll feed everyone's appetite. Does anyone have any questions?
Can you tell me if fire trucks will be an introduction to the start of Flag Day celebration?
We're not having a parade this year. So the fire department has decided that they will be the introduction coming down Bailey Road, is it? Going down Bailey Road, coming back around through Long Acre, waking everybody up. Come on, let's get together, let's come out and have some camaraderie. I'm looking forward to a fun-filled day, so I hope you are too. Thank
I have a question.
you.
Why are you doing this in the street when we have parks? You know, why the 700 block of Church Lane when we have parks we can have this event in? It just seems, I don't know, kind of cruel to make a bunch of kids hang out on hot asphalt and hot weather at the solstice, you know, one day of the year.
Well, actually, the senator gives one down on 59th in Baltimore every year, and he closes off Baltimore Avenue for blocks, and people have a ball. They've done it up in Ogontz. A lot of areas close off certain areas, certain parts of their business districts, and that's where they have their festivities.
Usually because, you know, William T. Kerr was the founder of Flag Day, we usually have the celebration at Kerr Field. And we also have Community Park and these other places. I mean, is this supposed to be a business block party, or is it supposed to be Flag Day? What is this supposed to benefit, the businesses or the residents?
Both. How about both? Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Council.
What are we doing for Juneteenth?
Juneteenth is being taken care of by the Nile Swim Club this year.
So the same program they had last year, they're doing it for now?
I'm not sure what program, but we were going to try to incorporate it with Flag Day, and they decided that they would do the actual Juneteenth celebration in the library. I'm sorry.
It's going on at the same time?
They're going to do it on Sunday, on the actual day of Juneteenth.
Okay.
And the library will be giving something over at the library that Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
The library assistant director.
Is someone here from the library? That can,
She's here.
Darlene is here.
oh, Darlene, would you please come up and speak about Juneteenth?
About the celebration.
Thank you.
Depends how many people show up. It's up to the individual.
On Thursday, we will be showing, on Thursday, we were showing respect outside. That day starting at 6:30 p.m. We're probably going to be doing it at Evans Field. And then on that's Thursday night. Friday, we're going to have African drummers at the library.
And on Saturday, we're going to be doing a workshop with the kids to do something for Father's Day.
All right, put in my library, trustee Cadwell. This Friday, we're also at the library. There's going to be a game kickoff for the teen and young adult summer reading program. And so they need to sign up for summer reading, and they'll have the ability to gain points to be able to get on the game truck. So that's an exciting thing for our teens and youth. So if you have any young members in your community, let them know to visit the library this Friday, 3:30 to 5:30, to sign up to do the summer reading kickoff. That was it.
Thank you. Okay, while I'm here, I'd like to give the president's report. First, I want to start off by saying that we've got quite a number of residents who really do like the newsletter. Our neighborhood, thank you, good vibes, and some of the comments. In addition to that, I just want to thank all of you today for having an orderly meeting. It's been kind of rare here for the past 5 or 6 months, but I want to extend my thanks and gratitude to you for that. One of the things we've asked the solicitor to do is to provide information with regards to what the decorum in council, this is a workshop of course, but in council there is a standing rule of not having not only distractions but disruptions in the conduct of the business of the borough, that there should not be any obstruction to get that done. So he's going to share information on the 16th with many of you that are present on the powers of the chair of the president of council and also the function of the mayor in council. And so that they're going to share that information so that we're an informed bodies. Oftentimes, we make mistakes about things because we simply don't know what the rules are. And so we want to make sure that we have an educated community so that if we know it, we can do better. If we don't know it, we're destined to repeat the same mistakes. PSAB had an incredible conference after being up in Hershey, Pennsylvania 2 weeks ago after, due to the pandemic, the conference had been canceled for 2 consecutive years. A lot of information on how to run your council and municipal government more effectively. There are a number of people interested in having a youth employment program within the borough and in the library. We haven't had that for a long time, but I've gotten calls from neighbors who are inquiring. I told them about Camp Garrett that Mr. Hunter shared, but we have had young people work in the borough doing a brief youth summer employment program that teaches them, the professionalism of how to answer a phone and how to conduct themselves kind of in a career orientation way. So I'm asking the borough manager to kind of research that and see what line item that might be available financially that we could afford maybe 2 or 3 young people in our community that would have an opportunity to work in the borough, in the reception area, and perhaps at the library. I want to say that it's important, we all may have differences of opinion, we can agree to disagree, but I think it's really important that we should check ourselves when activities are happening in our borough council meetings that spot off residents being more confused after they leave than they were when they came, with this idea of of offering compensation to residents who had losses that were not directly the responsibility of the municipality. Lawsuits are filed whether they are frivolous or whether they are serious. We do not need the face of our town and the leadership of our town conducting themselves in such a way that people feel like they have to take those types of recourses. So I would just ask that if we don't know what we're doing, we need to just stop and act something, because that was really an unfortunate thing. We don't need to pay an extra dollar for legal representation or defense when we are not responsible for what has happened in independent accidents, etc. So I just want to mention that. The reminder of the workshop meetings, that they will be suspended, and I've asked also that our committee meetings, because people are on vacation, they're out of town, they take the time off after serving us 10 months out of the year, 2 months is vacation. So we're going to suspend those committee meetings other than any special meeting with regards to the budget or something along those lines. So both the committee meetings and the workshop meetings will be suspended for July and August. And of course, we've talked about Flag Day, the car show. It's going to be a fantastic day. We do all need a break, and we need to be able to celebrate together around one common cause. And so I appreciate all of the support that Councilor Johnson has put into the work of putting this Flag Day together. It's not an easy task. And the volunteers, that any resident that wants to volunteer on Flag Day, please see Councilor Johnson at the end of this meeting if you want to sign up and give her your name, number, and your email so that she can coordinate and make sure we have good coverage for Flag Day. I think it's going to be fantastic. People do ask about the 700 block. We had a celebration of musicians several years ago called Jazz on the Lane. It was an incredible experience. And people came from all over the borough to be there. And of course, we have the parking lot there, the municipal parking lot, where people kind of spilled over into the municipal parking lot. So just want to encourage you to come out, celebrate with us, and then enjoy and have a wonderful summer. Let me see what for residents. Oh, the Mayor Hepkins, would you come and provide your report, please?
Four things to report. The Mayor Citizens Forum was held on this past Thursday, June 2nd, right here in the auditorium. Topics included Q&A from a tax collector who explained the tax collecting process, educated residents on various ways we pay taxes while explaining the different types of taxes that we do pay. We also discussed crime fighting statistics and active shooter protocols between the Yeadon Police Department and the William Penn School District, especially in light of the recent massacre in Union Valley, Texas. The remaining meetings for the Mayor's Forum will be September 1st and December 1st. The drug bust in Yeadon. During the last week of May, Yeadon Police Department, along with the Delco Drug Task Force, uncovered a major drug operation right here in Yeadon, and many bags of heroin, cocaine, drug paraphernalia were confiscated, and close to $100,000 in cash and drugs were seized in the drug bust. The drug sting operation made the front page also of the Delco Times. And special thanks go out to the Yeadon Police Department for this successful drug sting operation, which was a year in the making, and took a lot of potential drug activity off our streets, and we can do even more to keep Yeadon safe, streets safe if we had more officers that are needed. It was also helpful and worth noting that under Chief Reparo, Yeadon became an active part of the Delta Drug Task Force, which provides us help from, in our department from the county. We were not an active member of the Delaware County Drug Task Force until about 3 years ago, when your mayor and the new chief actively pushed for realized this change, which gave us greater assistance from the county to interdict drug activity and to keep Delaware County safe. A lot of questions and acts were circulated, and people have asked me if what happened in Texas can happen here in our school system, and potentially yes. I was part of, about 7 years ago, I was downstairs in the middle of the day, and we got a call that there was an active shooter right here at Mercy Fitzgerald Wellness Center, right here on the Yeadon side. We came, there was an active shooter who shot his caseworker right in the temple, close blank range, and had a shootout with a psychiatrist. Psychiatrist shot him, and there was a whole meeting, and I'm happy to say that Yeadon stopped that active shooter in 4 minutes. It took us 4 minutes to get there. We interdicted the active shooter, handcuffed him, and prevented a greater massacre. So it can happen here. I was the first public official on the scene. I was there when the SWAT team arrived, and it was like something out of a movie. They had SWAT team members coming down off helicopters. They had them in trees. They had them on the roofs. There was a total lockdown. So yes, it can happen here, because it did. I wouldn't think that something like that can happen in our small community, but it can happen here. So in light of this mass school shooting, and I'm telling you that I cried with my wife when I saw those parents, you know, come out and holding pictures of their 9-year-old, 8 and 10-year-old who were murdered like rag dolls and machine guns to no recognition. And I cried because it could be us. It could be us. And I'm charged with keeping this borough safe. And people ask me why I made the decisions I made or why I like the former chief. No, I don't like everything about everybody. I don't, you know, that's utopia. Everybody has their issues and their problems, but he did keep us safe, and he was a member of the SWAT team. One of the questions, what happened in Uvalde, Texas, is that they didn't have any breaching material, the police, first of all, they waited 77 minutes. Okay, they waited like almost 2 hours while the shooter was picking people off. When they got there, there was no breaching material. In other words, they couldn't get into the school. They finally had to get the maintenance person to get a key. We have keys. One of the first things that the chief did was make sure that every police officer had keys. Not only do we have keys, but we have breaching material. Should they padlock the doors or whatever, there's ways. I'm not going to tell you how we're going to do that, because the criminals also tune in. But we have breaching materials for that. What would not happen here? We're in partnership with the schools to have active killer training, and it's one of the things that we've done over the last 3 years. So we do have a plan, if that happens, that we can interdict the situation as soon as possible and neutralize the active killer. And we saw that it did happen here about 7 years ago. Our flag has been flown at half-staff to help recognize and mourn that situation. The President asked if we did that, and we were doing that. We do need, and thank you for, Madam President, for bringing up the situation in church and McDade. And I think we had a good discussion last meeting, and we came to a recognition that we could do something privately, so we just need to follow up on that. So I'm just asking that we do follow up on that, because the family that lives at 931 McDade are still displaced. They're not in their homes. They're still living elsewhere. And whatever we can do to help them, we should be able to do that. So thanks for those solutions and the brainstorming that we had during the last week. Questions?
Just if this getting together kind of form a fundraiser for the Williams family, it's going to take months, as it appears to. I just want to make sure everybody's aware there's also a GoFundMe that people are welcome to contribute to.
There is a GoFundMe page. It's one of the things that came out of the meeting, and I believe the Madam President charged Vice President Lauren Johnson to come up with a volunteer donation type of situation. So I just hope we follow up on that.
Yeah, just the committee meeting.
There is a
They talked
GoFundMe.
that at the last committee meeting.
Sorry, Councilor Beatty.
No, I just wanted to thank Lieutenant Burns and the mayor. My car was broken into last week, right in front of my house. No, actually right in the driveway. So we do definitely need more police presence. And it's my fault, full trace. I left something on my seat and they wanted what was on my seat. So we just have to be careful. Remember to lock your doors. Don't assume because you have automatic locks that they're locked. And don't leave anything visible in your car, because people, especially if you live on a block. I'm on Providence Road between Union and Raccoon, so that's the Nile and Zesty Pizza, and it's constant traffic all day in the summer, so you just have to be careful. I just wanted to just put that out there. And an officer came right to my house right away, so thank you to the Yeadon Police Department for, being very.
And we're sorry that happened to you.
They stole my Apple earbuds, they was just replaced, but still, just don't take anything. I'm just letting them break my window.
Yeah, we do. There is a crisis of police. I was just talking to Lieutenant Burns about Lansdowne is pulling their hairs out and getting part-time officers. And they just hired the ones they had. They hired full-time. We had 11 part-timers. 5 of them we hired. Those were our last hire for full-time, and 6 of them got other jobs. They got them up like crazy. So there's a big crisis around the country, and especially in this area, Philadelphia, all the boroughs, municipalities, that we just can't attract officers right now. It's a crisis.
Yes.
Councilor, real glad that I'll get Manager Johnson.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So with respect to the active shooter training with the schools, how often is that?
Good question. Do we do that every school year?
We do mandatory training, and we do every month we have firearms training. It's not just a day of shooting, it's everything in the cops is the active shooter training as well.
Oh, with the school?
Not with the schools, no.
No, that's my question, with the school.
I have not done anything with the school since I've been in this position. I've been constantly with
We do it every year. We've done it every year, every school year.
So, no, I was asking with the school, I was under the impression that the police department trained with the school together with respect to the respective training, with respect to the
We've done that for the 3 years when we had Chief Raparo.
Yes.
Yes, we
It
did that.
stopped after Chief got hired.
And that's one of the reasons people ask me why I like this person is because of his training with the SWAT team. This is what he does very well. And this is where we're really, really vulnerable. Active shooter being in the schools. And that's why I like this.
I think we need to restart that. You know, so we need to restart that.
I mean, you see what's going on around us, what happened to South Street, you know, I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm being very sober with you because I take this very seriously, and I'm charged, and you elected me to keep you safe. And I'll do that to the best of my ability.
So, I wasn't finished with my question.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Sure.
So I was wondering about this training in conjunction with our police department. So we're not doing anything in conjunction with the schools.
We do that every year. We have that.
We have done it.
We have done
We
it.
haven't
See,
done it.
heretofore, yeah.
Okay. So when you were talking about keys,
Yeah.
were you referring to keys to the school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, in case, you know,
No, I just needed to know the keys.
there's a
to
copycat
go where.
system,
Okay.
you know, syndrome out there on the face, you know, young people are going, they'll barricade themselves in the school, they'll lock the doors, and we need to be able to get in there fast. So all means necessary, to have keys is the easiest way, we have breaching materials, and if you have to ram a police car, you gotta save the kids.
Right.
It's clear to know.
Okay. So if I wanted to know what type of training the schools are giving the children, I should be able to find that on the website?
They hired a new person for that. Yeah, that's part of the course now for every school because this is a new reality that parents and children, you know, going under that hiding, making carrying a cell phone is one of the most important things, a fully charged cell phone. But they didn't respond.
No, I was just asking, like, if I wanted to know what type of training is being done in the school.
The schools
would I be able to
do.
find that on the website?
Yes, you should, yeah. Yes.
I just wanted to piggyback real
Sure.
quick on what you were saying in terms of public safety and doing a logistical meeting. And having a logistical meeting, the meeting with our lieutenant, we did discuss impeding traffic, people ramrodding the stage, so we made and taken all precautions against that, so you will be protected, and we discussed that at length. We also ask everyone to be vigilant and not to be paranoid about who's coming and who's going, but just to keep your eyes open. And as they say in all the commercials, watch, somebody's watching you, you watch the other person. There was something else. There was something you had said earlier, but I'm going to let that go because I can't recall.
All right, Madam President, you.
Yes, just wanted to mention.
Any other question? That ends my report. Can I just get?
Well, actually, I'm going to call
Ms. Johnson?
Okay. And of course you can. Just wanted to also mention earlier at the engineer's report, the community of Morton received a CDGB grant to have a comprehensive recodification of their codes and ordinances, as well as a comprehensive plan update for their community. They were awarded about $70,000, and their population is half the size of our population here in Yeadon Borough. So we're going to be charging the engineer to submit an application for the CDGB, because I understand that we have counselors who is heart-struck with making sure that ordinances get updated, so we're not caught between a change without being prepared that will affect our quality of life and et cetera. So they will do that, and they'll report back to the code department. Now we'd like to have our residents who have submitted forms to speak. Former Councilor Johnson, would you come up, please? Oh yeah, 3 minutes is your 3 minutes.
is a very good idea. Chief Chachi had the best program that was going on here. And I heard you say also about the South Street. We can't compare that to children who don't have guns. There's no comparison there. The other thing I would like to ask is that the AP list and reports be available to the community. How can we speak on the agenda items when they are not available to us? They have been in previous times. I even asked the borough manager, I think about 3 weeks ago, could those things be available for us? I would appreciate it if they were on the table for us.
On the table or online?
On the table where we get the agenda and those other things. The next thing I would like to ask is why and who canceled Wednesday's committee meeting? I can speak for sure that 5 councilors did not know that there was a cancellation. Residents was out at the meeting. As a matter, and I want to thank Councilor Johnson, who carried on her committee meeting. However, when asked Councilor Waters, who sat and had a conversation with the borough manager, was there going to be a safety meeting, she said it was canceled. So I'd like to know who and why the residents did not know that the meeting was canceled. There was quite a few of us out there.
The post online was time-stamped at 6:20 and the meeting started at 6. So it was canceled at 6:20. That's when notice went out.
It was just a mix-up.
What was the mix-up that the committee?
Because the council members were away in Hershey at the.
Councilor Johnson and Councilor Waters came out. Johnson, as a matter of fact, I don't even think they knew about it until Waters came out of the kitchen area talking to someone on the phone and came out to see if the meeting was canceled.
But that was the chair's responsibility to determine meeting times that would extend the cancellations.
Thank you, Councilor. I mean, former Councilor Johnson.
Again, I don't think that the Wednesday committee meetings is conducive because no one reports off the floor because legislative meeting has already comments have been made. So I think that something should be done there as well. Getting back to safety, I'm going to say about last month or the month before last, I mentioned to Councilor Waters in a safety meeting, and that's what I was going to talk about in the last safety meeting, about the police officers not being safe because of the 7 business. I'm going to be finished in a few minutes.
You gave Penny the 10 minutes last time.
This is a safety matter.
We had every
This is
time
a
they were
safety
building
matter
it.
that I think that we should hear. And we're wasting more time. I would have been finished already if we had that meeting. At the, about 2 months ago, I asked Councilor Waters to address from her report about how unsafe it is on the 7th business district with all of the paraphernalia, papers and whatever that's hanging on the door, on the windows there, which should not be there. Isaac, you know that because I worked with you on that before. Safety reasons is when a police officer goes there because something is wrong on the inside, we're putting them in harm's way. They can't see on the inside. And I asked for that report. I asked for her to report from
That's a code issue as well.
It's a safety issue. It's a safety issue, and I'm not going to
What you
debate with
said
you.
was, matter of fact, you said yourself what it was. So why would you even ask me? You already knew.
Because you're oversight.
No.
Because you're oversight.
No, you were addressing the wrong person. Thank you.
The right person never comes to committee meetings.
Ken Scott, Mr. Scott, your name.
Yes, okay, good. All right, good evening.
Good evening.
Get these meetings up off of business schedule, Trevor. But I was calling an issue about, I've been going around this for about a year, and also my neighbor, Jack Moses here, former mayor, about Providence Road, on Providence Road, and the 100 block with this parking is getting, I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, we have people who don't live on the block, who have multiple cars, who live in the 200 block, but then park their cars down the 100 block. We've got people illegally parking from commercial trucks. I've got people with pickup trucks now who are like partially blocking people's driveway, don't want to move in, and they're like, oh, you got enough room to get in. That's not the point. I shouldn't have to try to squeeze in. And the police, I know, have been out there with neighbor disputes at least 5 times in May. So that was all documented. I was away, and then I understand they were out 2 more times while I was away. So, you know, my issue is how can we go to permit parking? They have their lanes down. They have permit parking right up the street off the 200 block, where every homeowner is entitled to 1 permit, get where you want to share it with, whatever. To just resolve the problem, because it's getting ugly, it's getting heated. There's been some serious incidents. I'm afraid it's going to turn into violence. And then we can't sit here and complain, say, oh, I wonder what happened, I wonder what that was about. Well, now you know what it was about. It's about all this.
We gonna start a petition on our
Yes.
block.
Well, you don't need, they're doing a permit,
Right, so I just wonder, what is the process to get this started, because we asked about this before.
Police council, you need a
Okay.
Yeah, we need that desperate.
You need a petition.
Yes, yes. And I do thank you for starting to enforce the Tuesday trash rule, because people want to move their car. Okay, yes, back on enforcement with that. We couldn't even get outside the street. We don't have parking on one side of the street, so at least they did start that the parking.
So what is the process now with respect to the
Just a second.
Lieutenant Byrd,
Yeah, because there's a lot of moving parts with that.
can you, for the benefit of council and our residents, give a real brief overview of what it would take, because we had to grapple with this years ago, for permit parking?
I had to look into it. I hadn't done putting permit parking on one of the early streets. So I referred it down, I will look into it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it already existed. It's in the code book. I was the chairman of the zoning board for 10 years, so I have all the code, so it is that changeable. So.
Plenty of streets have, I just don't know the steps, you know, like I get the code.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
It's awesome, all right, take care.
Yes.
Okay, next is, Ms. Jabbar.
Good evening, everyone. So Saturday, this past Saturday, we had a really fun day at the Love Garden. I wanted to thank the Public Works team for clearing it out for us. Y'all did an excellent job of getting all the weeds and things of that nature out. I wanted to thank Mr. Roy. He's always available to us as residents, and he goes the extra mile, so I really wanted to give a shout out to the Hunter for always being there for us. I wanted to also give a shout out to our beloved papyrus back there. They actually helped with that day, building the bids, the garden bids for us. So I wanted to shout them out as well. It was about 10 residents that came out, and we put out 3 bids on the ground, and then Public Works, they had 2 planters. So we were able to put some tomato plants, peppers, and things of that nature. We have a lot of land in that plot, so we're going to try to get more garden beds put down. So if any community members are interested in learning how to garden or just want to get their hands dirty and do some fellowship with their neighbors, it's a wonderful opportunity. Urban gardening is becoming a big thing across the world. So I'm really encouraging people to kind of learn how to garden. I'm a new gardener myself, so I just wanted to put that out there. Any community members, I guess can reach out to Mr. Hunter, and he can kind of steer them in the right way. I wanted to also keep the integrity of the purpose of the garden, and it is, strengthening the police relations with the community. So, Lieutenant Burns, you're welcome to come if you have a free time. All the police officers, we welcome them. They're our friends, so we want them to come out and participate as if they're able. In addition to our community garden, the Knox Swim Club has a garden as well. Theirs is really, really well put. And and then the library has a garden too. So as many plots as we can have across the community is wonderful, you know, so I just wanted to touch base on that. I do know that Mr. Dotson came by to kind of check it out to see what we were doing, and he asked if the borough can do anything. We would appreciate if you could get some soil for us over this town as possible. We did have a tree expert in Lansdowne that offered and dumped some wood chips for us. So that was an appreciated donation. We got some donations from East Lansdowne resident, and then the community members came with plants and things like that. So it's definitely an organic, literally and figuratively, project for the community, by the community. And so we wanted to keep the Love Garden intact. It's a historical site based on congressional record from Mary B. Scallon. So we want to keep it moving, and we're building, and we want to see it grow. We're looking forward to the harvest of our effort. Any questions, anybody?
The community park is right on Union Avenue, it's right.
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay, just right all the way to the
Tomatoes
right
Park.
past the handicap spot. all the way to the end.
Yeadon Community Park.
Yeah, you know,
It's a small subsection. of
right near the parking lot. I'll take you there one day.
Yeah, I live on Providence. I live on Providence Road.
Yeah. We'll go out there and get our hands dirty together.
So drive around the corner to Union Avenue, go into the parking lot, go all the way to the end where the handicap spot is.
Mr. Trent.
Just right past that.
Oh, go ahead.
Flag Day. I had a question in regards to Flag Day. I live in Gunther, so I'm just worried that our residents in Gunther are clueless of where to go when the streets are off. Is there going to be notice?
Gunther is going to be open. It's going to be closed just after Gunther. So Church Lane northbound to Gunther, you know, make a right.
Okay.
So if you're coming out to church, on Gunther.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And for the residents, in case you asked this question, where we're holding the event, all residents have been notified that the event will take place on the 700 block and the preceding block all the way down to Long Acre Boulevard.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. Mr. Trent, Michael Trent.
Good evening, everybody. When I was looking at the agenda, I wasn't sure if there was actually a report from the Community Affairs. Was there a report from that? I didn't hear it.
It wasn't, but I can make certain announcements. Is there anything specific you want me to?
No, I was trying to see what you would have announced. That's what all the reports are about. People, you know, it was mainly department heads. Who's the department head for Community Affairs? I thought it was like
No,
paid individual.
there's not a director for community affairs, but I am chair of community.
Okay, but you didn't give a report. I'm not saying.
There's no report
I have a
to
specific.
give, however, I can make an announcement of certain things. Is that what you're asking for? Then I can do that.
I'm just saying in general, if you're a committee and you're the department head,
Well,
you
I'm
should
not
have a
department
report.
head.
It's not a matter of you staying up and
I'm
saying
not a
anybody has a
department
question.
head. There's not a department.
All right, I don't want to waste my time.
Okay, well,
Another thing,
then I'll have to give a report.
as Claire was saying, with the committee meetings being canceled, and I think I heard that they might have been in Hershey or someplace, but wouldn't they have known to at least say that the meeting for that particular committee would be canceled? As opposed to wait for the citizens to be here 20 minutes after the meeting started to find out, you know, they're canceled.
Luckily, Mr. Trent.
It's like y'all know in advance.
Well, actually, the two counselors that came back early.
It was all two councils that showed up today.
Well, who made the decision to cancel?
Those two counselors.
Who made the decision to cancel?
They really should have, and my apologies to them, they really should have
Okay,
been
good.
canceled. But thank you.
5 councilors didn't know anything about it, so who made the decision? One person?
I mean, lately, we don't even have anybody representing code. I mean, you know, department head or the council. You know, nobody's here for your code.
So, with respect to the committees, typically, the liaison for the committee The
Right.
respective committee makes the decision whether or not they're going to hold the meeting or not. When I was the liaison for code, I held a monthly code meeting every month, and I didn't miss a meeting. If it had to be canceled for whatever reason, I would be the person to cancel it. So
So true.
what happened last Wednesday, I don't know, but it was unfortunate, it was unprofessional,
And inconsiderate.
and inconsiderate to the residents. But that seems to be par for the course.
I appreciate you.
When is there going to be a finance committee meeting?
Yeah, that's what I
Never.
No, I know you said Mr. Nichols will have a presentation, that's the
Well,
difference.
it's not just a presentation, it is a thorough finance committee meeting that will answer all questions related to the budget and expenditures year to date.
On the website, it says that all committees meet at the same time on Wednesday, including finance.
No.
That's on the website. That has not been happening.
Yeah, you have to, it's a lot bigger than just coming together, talking about a few things.
Yeah, I know.
We want to see.
Previously, I used to come to the finance committee.
Can we hear you, Counselor? We can't hear you.
Each department, the code department, highway department, generally speaking, they give to the finance director during budget preparations, they give them an expected budget, an anticipated budget. What is important is not to necessarily just sit down and not have, comprehensive information to provide to you. So if, for example, Jeff's department, highway department needs to hire 2 new employees, how is that going to impact his line item year to date, June 2022? We need hard information, hard facts, and the finance director is the hired expert for this borough to answer those questions. Any change in the budget, any line item that's being overspent, we need to know that, and you need to know that. It's not just have a meeting for a meeting's sake. Finance is a lot more complex because it's going to take into consideration every department, from code to highway to administration, additional staff that may be required, people retiring. All of those are brought into consideration, and that is what Mr. Nichols, Nafis Nichols, has to do not only for this council and every member here, but for you. So he proposed a slide presentation where he would deal with the library's budget, everybody's budget, every dollar that you spend in your taxes. As the mayor mentioned earlier, this request for additional police officers, when the police department, this is not a rag and insult to the police. We spend $4.2 million a year out of a $6.1 million budget for 18 police officers. The highest, one of the highest numbers in Delaware County. Now, excuse me. So when you're talking about the budget and you talk about salaries, and we're right in the middle of an FOP benefits negotiation that they're entitled to. So there's more to this picture than just having a sit down and say, okay, yes, this department spent this or what have you. So we want a comprehensive report to the residents and for council to take a serious look at. So because you elected us to manage this town, and that's what we have to do with fidelity and with clarity.
Question.
Yes.
So, if I'm understanding what you're saying, there is because when we first came on board with the finance committee, that actual committee is not even it's not a committee, really. It's just
you really
It's
do.
supposed to be 3 people on that committee, right?
Well, you can have, the thing about committees, and I need to say this for clarification, excuse me. You have 7 counselors. Those counselors have access to every committee. They don't have to be a chair, they don't have to declare themselves a member. They are automatically involved in every committee, at their discretion, whatever they want to do. Every single counselor. So to say, because your committee needs to have this many people or what have you, that the structure is so that you have a go-to. And when a chair is announced as for the committee at the discretion of the president, that person has a responsibility back to all of those counselors and to you. So, and we are the conduit between you and those appointed positions, those administrators over those departments. So when you have an appointed person like Mr. Nafis Nichols, as a consultant, as a finance director, as a treasurer for this municipality, he is required and responsible for those reports generated and presented to you and to us. So Mr. Nichols is going to do that, and he'll put it in layman's terms so that we're able to look at where we are and where we're going. Because we can't arbitrarily make decisions to spend taxpayer dollars without full accountability of those dollars.
But my question is, if there was a regular committee meeting whenever we were supposed to meet on Wednesday, then we wouldn't have so many questions at the legislative meeting because it would be an ongoing conversation.
Also,
On a regular
if
basis.
someone answered emails, perhaps we could have questions.
It just
Here,
seems like it's
in
just this
person.
vague committee that's not even
the
really
budget
in
is on-
existence.
and
not only is Mr.
And now
Nichols
this
on
is our
finance.
finance director. He's not the chair of that committee. You're the chair of that committee, but there's no meetings.
But in addition to that, we generate a monthly, budget to date.
We have one more resident.
Okay, we're not gonna listen to this.
We have 2 residents that still want to speak.
The actual, but we can also give monthly actual budgets to date as well.
We're talking about transparency. Transparency is having transparency conversation on a regular basis. That's being transparent.
One of the things I noticed, especially at the last legislative meeting with the newsletter, as far as really informative things for the community, there was no mention of the twice-a-week trash.
Yes.
I know Jeff mentioned it's July 1st to the end of August, I believe.
Yes.
Plus, like with Mr. Hunter, nothing there about Camp Garrett. So I mean, sometimes like the really meaningful things for the community are not in the newsletter, but the negative things that you guys can make it off.
So true, so true.
And I don't know if Mr. Boggs can answer, is there any conflict when you have a search looking for a new chief and there's a possibility that Chief Papara will win his suit?
Right.
Or come back as a chief?
Right.
So that's
That's a legal question, we can.
that's what I'm asking.
Mr. Vaz, I'm gonna answer the attorney, Mr. Vaz.
You won't let him answer.
Litigation. Okay. You cannot answer.
I'm just saying, you could hire
Mr.
me.
Vaz.
And we can't speak to that. We can't speak. You know we can't speak to that. Okay, Liz, you're up to your time.
So I was looking at old meetings, and it's very interesting what about face President Council has made since she was last President Council.
You have to stick to the agenda.
Everything's an agenda item, right? Really try to silence me, don't you? So, last time we became council president, we were in the same scenario now. We were short police officers. The mayor sounded the alarm, and President Council Harris, oh no, strong arm robbery apprehension. I support the mayor. The mayor has a list of, he recommends Officer Stevens, this, that, and the other thing. Lorraine Johnson, oh yes, we need safe
what we're going to do.
Yes.
We are going to keep
Stop talking.
We are going to keep Yeadon
Bring
safe.
it back.
We
You
are
respect to
keeping
the
Yeadon safe.
residents.
We have been down 5 officers since the beginning of the year. And what happened the following month after that 2014 meeting? The following month, we hired 4 officers immediately. Next month. Motion to appoint Amanda Green. Motion to appoint Duncan Smith. Motion to appoint Robert Wellbrook. Isaac, you changed too. Back then, you were really upset that a borough manager got hired without a resume. You demanded to see his resume. Now you don't care. Now the resumes are
No, ma'am,
demanding.
no, ma'am, that's not clear. I do care, and I submitted my resume. So before you, no.
How come we haven't
No,
seen it?
that's a different question, but do
Yes,
not tell the public that I did not submit my resume.
How come it wasn't posted? How come you didn't submit a job, post the job? The job was never posted. Sharon hands it to you, and you just sit down and take in the money. $95,000 a year, 25K raise over Miranda Crestwood. Plus, okay, Mr. Bobs. Sharon said in the last meeting that you verified every statement here is correct. We would like to hear that.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I got it. She said our lawyer, who is Scott Gobb, who is Holston and Associates. I have never made a statement about that, ever.
Would you be so kind as to have him write that down and sign it?
Oh, and that is legal advice that was given to...
Okay, so Sharon's lying again. Lying. Then you get a signed statement from him saying that he verified that it was a fact that the mayor was asleep at the job. Verified that when he removed a part of the sentence so as to completely change the meaning, that is still a complete verified fact. And when are you going to honor the chief's contract and pay him the 776 hours you owe him? How are we expected to bring in officers when the borough cannot be trusted to honor the contract? You owe him 776 hours for vacation time, comp time, sick time, is in his contract. How are we going to hire anybody else if you don't honor contracts?
Who else is up to speed?
That's it.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Liz.
I'm assuming I was busy. Yeah, I think it should. Anyway, yes.
The first thing that I want to do is just make a comment with regards to, a comment or a suggestion with regards to these meetings. There's a lot of residents in Yeadon that do not come out to this, just because they're older. And some of the logistics here make it uncomfortable for them. It's good talking about the chairs. If you're older, you might not be able to get out of those chairs. So is there something possibly we might be able to do with regards to that so that other residents could participate? I'm getting some strange looks.
Not sure.
We need chairs with arms so that older residents have something to push up at. We're in retirement homes, it's a thing.
Yeah, and
Arms
we even saw that at like the mayor's council or whatever we called it, when people were here with regards to that. And then one of the comments that I wanted to talk about was the newsletter. I forget the gentleman's name, but he was talking about too. There's a lot of good things that are going on in Yeadon. During the summer months, we do have the trash on twice a week. I think that's great. There was also something that was mentioned, I think it was the last council meeting, that there's free smoke detectors. That's good information for the residents. That would be good stuff that should be in the newsletter. We're paying good money for it, why not put it in the newsletter? With some suggestions.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then one of the things that I wanted to talk about is the budget. I think that Yeadon's budget is going out the roof. We really do need to focus on certain things. Right now, the world is in a state of unrest. I'm not saying that some of the things that are happening in Philadelphia are going to make its way to Yeadon, hopefully not. But public safety is very important. We need to be focusing on that. We need to be spending budget with regards to that. Right now, I believe that the police force is understaffed. The police chief just made a suggestion with regards to having 2 part-timers hired. That would be great. I think that there's still a freeze with regards to the police. We need to take a look with regards to that because public safety is very important. Not everybody is as able to be aware of their surroundings and watching what's going on. So I think that some of the residents are doing it for other people, but we need to have police to actually take care of that. Then I have some questions with regards to, because when the solicitor was talking, I wasn't able to ask the question. So one of the things was that we were going to be looking at 3 organizations to help with regards to the selection of the new police chief. Can you give an idea of what that's actually going to cost the borough with regards to hiring one of those agencies?
We have to first decide, as we were talking, we have to first decide are we going to go the route of an individual person or one of those people, and that's going to be part of that conversation.
Is there a possible range, like between 5,000 and 150,000? Any thoughts with regards to how much?
50,000? 75,000?
I would imagine.
You can't expect
I can't put a number on it right now. We have to engage them. They have to know some things about us. Starting that process, as you know, when you talk to somebody who they think that you're going to give them money, now there's an extreme dialogue. So before I did that with all 3 of them, I want to get council's idea as to which one do we engage first, or do we go with someone that would probably be cheaper than a firm, but there would only be one individual. So once that decision is made, we hope to have all of this on the agenda for the legislative meeting.
When are we going to get a search party for a borough manager and not an interim?
I'm sorry, what was that?
When's the search party for the borough manager, not the interim manager? Who put that on the wanted?
Well, I have another thing. You said that we're going to, well, it was a question because you didn't allow us to ask questions with regards to the overall budget. Very concerned about that. So are we going to find out where we think we're going to end the year?
We're going to be right now, currently, we're right at no department, no line item is over. We have alarms, I ask questions, I watch the spending, so rest assured, this night, there's no overblown, any department that's 5,000, 10,000, it doesn't
Right, but
exist.
I'm saying the forecast at the end of the year.
We're doing fine. We're right on course.
Are they?
You have to wait on the finance director to make his report.
Okay, that's fine. But generally, any business looks with regards to their overall, no, any business looks with regards to the end of the year and doesn't forecast. No, it's not my opinion.
That's your opinion.
That's how county managers operate. Thank you.
Ms. Lee, please. Thank you.
She does accounting. She knows how it works.
Okay, I have a list of things that I'm going to search first.
She gives them money.
The March 7th meeting agenda is still missing with those minutes from the webpage, and I don't know why. I was there, so I know there was a meeting. It's still not on the webpage, and we're going into June, July. So I'd like to know what happened to those minutes.
We did ask that all the minutes be posted.
They're not there.
March is not there.
And I said that last March.
I did ask her the last time we made that point, so I'm not very happy that they're not posted.
They're not there. Okay. And I also have one question, because I really don't understand this. When we have the citizens forum, and I go back and look at the minutes that are posted, in particular January 20th and February 15th, what happens when it says on the minutes that the recording was garbled or didn't take place? Does that mean that those forms that we fill out for public comment, could they be used if you can't have the recording for what the citizens say when they're here?
The minutes consist of motions made, abstentions, and specific borough business, votes counted.
but conversations between the public is not what is considered a minutes.
It's on other minutes. It's a whole list of where residents have commented.
Excuse me. I don't want to be rude. You asked me a question. I'm trying my best to answer the question. Insofar as recordings are concerned, I record what is heard, what is said, and we have no control over the vitriol. We have no control over people talking. We have an assistant. Her job is to sit there and try to go through 4 hours of conversation, hollering, screaming, all that, and try to decipher from that the meetings. We also use our recordings to try to decipher the minutes, who said what, who made the motion, and I take notes on who made motion. But that is what the minutes consist of.
Now, what I'm asking, basically, what you understood what I said, that particular form there.
Yes.
If she doesn't hear that on the recording, that's just not included?
This is not official.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yes.
Okay, so. That's what I wanted to know. So, going towards Chester Avenue, where people have to wait for the trolley, it's dark. All right,
And
so
what was
the other street, the street around the corner, Sarah. I come down there, Sarah, dark on Sarah Avenue too. And what makes it so bad, on those streets, they're one way, going towards Chester Avenue, so by them being particularly dark, if people park. White, I don't know if it's here. And what happens when people park near the corner, it is dark, you can almost sideswipe the car because it's not proper distance. So you on those 2 streets, Gate and Duncan, dark. No, 1000. So I usually come down to Gate, and I usually take Duncan because it's a stop sign there, so I have a chance to get on Chester Avenue. So that's a concern. That's why I wanted to know if someone was going around at night that is capable of seeing at night, looking at the streets.
You know, we had this lighting put in a few years back.
Well, what we did was not good.
Our director of public works is sitting at the table.
Okay.
And if you have enough time, and you can address that here.
Well, he's very receptive to me on the phone, so I don't want to keep him after this meeting. I can always call him and I get an answer, so I don't have a problem.
Are the LED lights still working?
So let me just touch base on that.
Excuse me.
So a few years ago.
Hello? The highway director has the floor.
So a few years ago, before I started, there were high-pressure sodium fixtures. They weren't the most, cost-effective or energy efficient. PICO came in and did an energy audit. From that audit, they looked at what the wattage and the lumens were getting produced off the high-pressure sodium fixtures, and then they pretty much just converted it to the LEDs. What I noticed, I've been here for 2 years, it is, a little bit, dark in some spots. So we have the option of either increasing when we go to, phase out these LEDs and maybe purchase more for stock, go with the lumen count that's on average for residential, I think it's around 10,000 lumens. Anything higher, residents tend to complain. So 10,000 seems to be fair, so I have been doing that. Another thing we have to take into consideration when we go to add fixtures, every time we tap, it's called a tap, we tap in the PICO, their service lines are billed from the Borough increases. So we also have to take that into consideration.
Okay, my final concern is, you said that you're going to have a training on, or inform the residents of how these meetings should be conducted in terms of the quorum and things like that. So I think that, all right, well, my concern is if you're telling us how to act and how these meetings are conducted, it should be not just for the resident, it should be for council as well. Because
She's talking to you.
Because there's some things that
You have a problem. There's something wrong with you.
Oh, no, you
okay, let's take that outside. Right now,
She's standing
That's
there.
exactly what she's talking about right now.
You have something to say.
okay, my final things, my final 2 things are, I have questions. So is this meeting going to be, in terms of handouts from Robert's Rules and the Sunshine Act? No.
We will have general information on the borough code and the function of councilors, mayors, presidents, etc.
Because a lot of the things that I'm witnessing and hearing and reading, we're not doing here, we're not doing. And finally, public safety, that's a big concern because I notice things aren't like they used to be since we not know
They don't have no
the
public
chief,
safety
but I
person.
don't feel safe out here anymore. I don't do my walking at night anymore. Unfortunately, I have to drive out of this area to Springfield or whatever so I can ride around and feel safe, and I don't like that. And I'd like to know what's going to happen with the police. Are they going to be hired in a timely fashion? And when you do your newsletter next time, the things that would help that I pass on to my adult children is the safety list that the chief gave us, and it's on the website, and I think that should be included in the newsletter. Like Councilperson Beatty said about leaving her earbuds on the street. That means somebody must have really been looking in that car when those was wrong. Yeah, so we need to have those kind of items in the newsletter. And what is the next newsletter?
Don't have a date right
But it's
now. Little bit before.
quarterly, right? Okay.
What is it?
Before
The next newsletter.
Before the end.
Okay, as always, I support Chief Barbara. Thank you. Lieutenant, how many people were attacked in Dayton this year, since January?
Are there any,
I had a question for the solicitor. I actually have a question for the solicitor.
We've had 4 carjackings, which is kind of an attack.
Okay.
I actually have a question for the solicitor.
you can come up and wait.
No, come on, you can come. Okay, thank you. So my question for the solicitor, I have a few questions here. The COVID recovery funds.
Right.
About a year ago, a small committee met with respect to utilizing some of those funds as grants to help the residents with the driveways. I would appreciate if you can restart those conversations so we can actually get something done to help the residents with these driveways. So we were supposed to then, I believe, Mr. Dobson, we had a conversation. Yeah, I would like to have these conversations started because I don't know why we're prolonging this. We have the funds, and the funds should be used for the residents.
It was paving season.
Okay, so I would like that to be restarted. Also, Solicitor Boggs, I reached out to you with respect to a business tax in Yeadon or something comparable there too. And you said you was going to research it for us because we're already doing something part of Act 511. So there is a possibility. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry, because you normally respond and you did not respond. So maybe you did not get it.
Okay, no worries, no worries. But I just want you to let the people know, because a lot of people are asking about that, because that would help us.
One of the first things, this is a sad answer. I have a suggestion for the future, but it is a sad answer currently. The way that business taxes work, Harrisburg holds control. It's a law from 1965. So if we want to start lobbying Harrisburg in any way that we can to maybe revisit this, it's been quite some time. Yeadon may charge a $500 business tax per year per business, regardless of how much revenue, income, or employees they have. So you are stuck with $500 per business. Now, some municipalities that we represent, when a new business is coming to town, and if that business is going to have any type of tangible impact on the town, like in one of the municipalities we represent, there's an industrial business that pays $25,000 in like a donation at the beginning of the year to help with the roads. So when businesses come in and you're going to zone for them, or you're going to give them a permit, you're going to let them operate here, you can collect the $500 yearly tax, and you can talk to them about an arrangement if their business has an impact on the community or the environment, especially the environment. Right. Now, if it's mom and pop and they go to retail, but if somebody's coming in that is going to have trucks, or going to make a roadway, or going to do something, maybe they can contribute to the town in a positive way.
So we do have some options.
We have some options going forward. You can't take a business that's already here and
All
say,
right.
hey, hey,
So I guess my ask and the people's ask would be, can we look into putting something in place moving forward? Because I love a free hot dog and hamburger and a party, but this is more important to me.
Harrisburg has decided that all of the revenue from income goes through the state. Local municipalities, which you can imagine, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, unique areas, are going to have very high taxes or very low taxes. And Harrisburg doesn't want municipalities to have the control of those competing areas. The state legislature does that. So you cannot collect on payroll taxes, you can't collect on revenue, you can't collect on business income, you can collect on personal income, which, even as a conservative, I'm sorry, it kind of feels grossly unfair to local municipalities. But
Well, can you
that is-
explain
that
to the
is
residents?
That is the law since 1965.
So that is the law since 1965. But we do know laws are not written in stone, and they are subject to change.
So we would need to get the state legislature, the House of Representatives and the Senate and the governor to pass.
Well, can
But we can lobby.
Well, that's what I'm
On
asking.
behalf of the council,
Then that's
we could
what I'm
send-
asking.
We could send a letter. But this kind of a change, this would be like taking school taxes from local to state. Like this is a change on that order. So you would need not just Delaware County to be unified. You're going to need more than half of the 67 counties to be unified.
Are you afraid of the challenge?
Mr. Boggs.
Absolutely.
All right.
Mr. Boggs.
So,
You're on the clock. So I want the clarification to be very clear. In 65, Yeadon was given 1 year in another municipality here in Delaware County. They were given 1 year to opt in to the taxation, business taxation. The mayor then, Mayor Muller, sat on it a whole year till that period of time expired. And hence, we were barred from collecting business tax since 1965. Yeadon Borough is one of the municipalities in Delaware County. I forget the other one. There are two that do not have the benefit of Upper Darby or Springfield or Albany or anywhere else that receive business tax, business property tax. And we have businesses located in the industrial parks that make hundreds of millions of dollars a year. They utilize our police, they utilize our roads, and we cannot collect any dollars. Nonprofits like the Fitzgerald Mercy Hospital or the nursing home, they can give a payment in lieu of taxes, which is almost nil. The graveyard, and we're surrounded by graveyards. They don't pay the dollar head
and we're
for
not,
everybody that's
and we're
buried.
not even collecting the monies that we made agreements to collect. Just like with Grace Court, we haven't been collecting the pilot payments. Who else have we not been collecting for? So this is what I say. Nothing beats a failure but a try. This is 2022. 1965, 2022. Nothing beats a failure but a try. They're getting ready to overturn Roe versus Wade.
Mrs. Smith, I have a question for you. We have a dispensary that opened. Is it retroactive? Can we go, once the permit is issued, does that close the door?
It was, when I was looking into this issue, that's what struck me, the hardest was we missed, at least our firm missed that opportunity by a few months. Yes, but that's the elephant in the room, that they're going to have seven-figure receipts. There's nothing you can do with a $500 a year.
Thank you.
Okay, but Mr. Lodge, you will try. Well, we can have a further conversation.
Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Well, let me know. Let's see.
Okay. Side conversation.
I'm sorry.
So just a quick question.
Oh, thank you, miss. Thank you.
No problem. We were talking about the trees and the garden and everything. Have there been any consideration, I'm sorry to keep it, any consideration to taking care of the streets, coming into Yeadon and then going past
I mean, we want to
You
make
can,
it.
you can direct that question to the.
Yes,
to the-
okay, this is.
Jeff, that keeps coming up.
But, yeah, I mean, currently, gonna be with the engineer, our paving contractor out on site. We're gonna get estimates together. We have a few other locations in town where we have done sanitary sewer work that is eligible to get paid. So it's just a matter of making sure we have the funds in the budget, so getting together with the engineer, myself, our manager, as well as the finance director, to make sure we have those things in place. But it is my goal to get it done this year.
Is it, are all the infrastructure under the ground complete? Okay.
But I don't understand it because we voted time and time again to get that street fixed.
But it was expensive.
So,
But it's, you
I
know
don't
what, it's
understand.
not right, like, when you finish doing what you were doing,
Yes,
it
yes,
should have
so it has
been,
to be-
fixed right then. But it's not even just that, it's like when you come off Chester Avenue and you're coming into Yeadon, I don't know if you drive in, like, it's tearing up our cars, like, it's ridiculous, it's been like that forever.
But we, as council, I remember voting a couple of times.
We approved it.
So I don't know what's going on.
But the question was, is the underground piping fixed? That's what, that's correct, right?
Yeah, so that was part of the Benfest project, was the sanitary sewer work, and the storm work, all the storm lines are good as well, so it only makes sense to.
It's been fixed.
Thank you.
All right?
Okay,